Good evening, short story writers, and I think this is probably going to be the last in the Ghosts series, and again another variation on the Ghosts theme that's aimed with literary fiction writers in mind, so that you can tackle these from a, if it were real life, that sort of angle, and write a series of interconnecting short stories which together would make an episodic novel for NaNoWriMo. But as writers of other genres will hear, it definitely applies to them as well. And I'm going to preface this by saying literary genre writers, you, I hope, are very aware of the fact that we live in science fiction times, okay? This is not the 1950s. I think that if Virginia Woolf were and James Joyce were still around, they would be writing about the technology that affects our everyday lives and how it can perhaps, especially under COVID, help alleviate or exacerbate angst and isolation and feelings of needing to be alone, or I'm not entirely sure what. I mean, I've read The Dubliners and it seemed to be quite bleak. Some people going out for the evening, and sorry, I like points to, when people are telling me stories, and this includes real life, I like them to have a bit of a point. But that said, maybe there was a point in The Dubliners, apart from the fact that these were two married people who didn't seem to be getting along anymore, and it was the 1920s and Catholic Ireland, so therefore divorce was out of the question. But apart from that very hidden point, I'm pretty sure that just as the guy with the synths in Fame the movie said that if Mozart and Beethoven were writing in the 1990s, they'd be using the technology, so would those two and all the other authors about that time who were kind of riding the whole wave of realism versus art. They would be considering what is realism in 2020 going into 2021. And it's very different to the realism of the 1950s. Quite apart from the strange politics and the global warming that's going on, there's the fact that we're living longer and longer and longer lives. Would they consider that to be a good thing or a bad thing? Now, that isn't the ghost element. The ghost element is actually tied into that, because pretty soon, I think in under 10 years personally, but let's be mega cautious and say 30 years, I think that it will be possible to download the consciousness of a human being into a machine. And that will be a form of a ghost in some ways, because apart from the thought processes, unless they find some way of imitating emotions, to all intents and purposes, the machinery will be a ghost of the person in a good way, because along with the emotions that are held to be very close to us, like love and compassion, we will also lose negative emotions such as anger and, I'm going to say, self-pity, go right in there, angst, pointless worrying, and other pains, bodily pains. There's a medical classification of two types of pain. One which alerts you to the fact there's something wrong with your body, and there's another one which is just chronic. It's there. It serves no real purpose, and there's not sometimes much that is wrong with the body. Say a trapped nerve, for example. The nerve is under attack, but there's no massive damage to the body. Whereas in the case of a toothache, you've probably got an abscess. There's bacteria there which can get to your heart and give you a heart attack, or cause heart failure about 3 weeks later. It's happened. And so from a literary fiction point of view, what would it be like to find that you've lived with somebody, let's pick a sibling or a parent, and they go into a hospital and it's impossible to save their body, but they can download their consciousness, and that person comes back and they've got all the memories of that person. They remember all the warmth of the memories. However, there is something not quite there. And let's suppose that they made the machine sophisticated enough to be able to fake the emotion. Now, side question, would that make that person really so much different from other types of human beings who are quite capable of faking emotions when it suits in order to manipulate people? I think there's a whole load there to be explored if you're a literary fiction writer, and I'm pretty sure it might be somewhere in the realm of the first. There can't be many other authors that have explored this. Now, going on to science fiction writers, I don't need to tell you this is your bag. Fantasy and horror writers as well. Put a twist on it, make it a bad thing if you're a horror writer. If you're a fantasy writer, do with it what you will. You can explore the metaphysical, you can explore the spiritual side of this, you can explore the more philosophical side of this. Is it good? Is it bad? What does it mean for humanity? What does it mean to be a human once that exists? And Stanislav Lem has kind of been there before you up to a point. And again, if you're an action or a thriller writer, then this could mean that maybe you're downloading the consciousness of your best agent into many, many copies and sending them to go and fight battles. It's a bit of an Avengers type story there, I guess, or something at least Marvel-y. Okay, 7 minutes, I did it. So that kind of ghost, okay? If I think of another one, then another kind of ghost, then I will drop it in tomorrow. Other than that, tomorrow is Sunday, sorry, I'll be taking a day off. I work 6 days at this now, and I have a day where I don't have to worry about being live. I can just kick off my shoes and maybe even watch a movie of my own. Not that I've made a movie. What? That sounded... Yes, I wish I had. Okay. As usual, there's a thumbs up and a thumbs down. Do tell YouTube what you thought of this. Was it useful? Was it useless? And I will see you on Monday, possibly with a variation on the ghost theme. Happy writing. I hope you found this useful. Good night.